The Event Horizon Paradox, a story of time and space. The stars were never silent. They hummed, whispered, and pulsed with secrets older than creation itself. To most people on Earth, they were just specks of light, beautiful, distant, and harmless. But to Dr. Elena Voss, the stars were alive. And one of them had just spoken back. Elena sat in the dim control room of the Helios Observatory, a research station orbiting just beyond Mars. The hum of machinery surrounded her, a lullaby of data streams and gravitational readings. Her eyes, weary but focused, darted across holographic screens filled with spinning waveforms. For months, she had been studying the signals coming from the black hole XJ-109, also known as the Silent Eye. But lately, it wasn't so silent. The readings were erratic, the gravitational waves twisted in a way no theory could explain. Dr. Voss, a voice crackled through her comlink. It was Captain Rian Holt, commander of the orbital ship Odyssey. You've been staring at that hole for 16 hours straight. You need rest. I can't rest when space itself is breaking its own rules, Elena murmured. She zoomed in on the data. The black hole's event horizon, its invisible border between existence and oblivion, was flickering. This can't be right. The horizon's moving. Moving? Rian's voice carried disbelief. That's impossible. I thought so too, she said. But look at this. The gravitational pull is pulsing in a wave pattern, like it's breathing. Rian fell silent. Then, slowly, you're saying the black hole is alive? Elena hesitated. I'm saying something inside it is. That night, as Helios orbited in the dark quiet of deep space, Elena recorded her findings. She called it the Event Horizon Paradox, a phenomenon where time, gravity, and energy behaved in ways no physics could describe. The paradox began when a faint transmission came through, an encoded message, faint but deliberate. It wasn't cosmic radiation. It wasn't static. It was language. She played it over and over again. A faint, distorted voice echoed from the speakers. Help, trapped beyond time. Her heart raced. The signal came directly from the edge of XJ-109, inside the event horizon. But that was impossible. Nothing, not even light, could escape from there. Elena tried to isolate the signal, amplifying it until it nearly broke her instruments. Behind the main voice, there were others, whispers overlapping, hundreds of voices murmuring in unison. It's waiting. Don't let it open. We saw forever. Then silence. She sat frozen, her fingers trembling over the controls. For the first time in her life, Elena wasn't just studying the cosmos. She felt it looking back. The next morning, Rian docked the Odyssey at the Helios station. He stepped out in his silver-gray suit, his boots echoing through the steel corridors. Elena, he said softly when he found her in the lab. You look like you've seen a ghost. Worse, she replied, showing him the playback. He listened, frowning as the strange message played. Could this be a reflection? Some kind of time echo? Maybe, she said. But I checked every system. The data's clean. Whatever this is, it's coming from beyond the event horizon. Rian looked out through the observation window at the far-off swirl of XJ-109, a monstrous eye of darkness surrounded by spiraling light. You think someone's inside that? I don't know. But if they are, it changes everything we know about space, time, and death. Later that day, the two of them stood in the control chamber. The air shimmered faintly with electromagnetic interference, the byproduct of the black hole's pull. Rian said, Command's not going to like this. If you're right, they'll send a probe. I'm not waiting for permission, Elena said. We need to see it up close. You're not serious. I've been studying this anomaly for 10 years. If this is real, if something can exist inside an event horizon, we might be looking at proof of a new universe. Rian sighed. You're going to get us killed. Or we'll be the first humans to touch eternity. They launched a small drone, the Kronos, one, equipped with a quantum camera designed to capture images beyond normal space-time distortions. As it neared the black hole, the data stream began to warp. The visuals blurred, stretched, and twisted like melted glass. "Telemetry's unstable," Rian warned. "Hold it steady," Elena whispered. "We're almost through the accretion field." The drone crossed the horizon's outer edge, and for a split second, a perfect image appeared on their screen. A city, floating in the void. Impossible structures of light and crystal hung suspended inside the black hole, shimmering in slow motion. Towers curved like the arms of galaxies, and at the center, a blinding sphere of white radiance pulsed like a beating heart. Then static. The signal was gone. Rian's jaw dropped. "Did we just see what I think we saw?" Elena nodded, her voice barely a whisper. A civilization inside the event horizon. A world where time doesn't move like ours. Hours passed as they tried to recover the data. Most of it was scrambled beyond repair, but fragments remained. One image showed a humanoid figure, glowing faintly, standing beneath the shining structures. The figure looked directly at the drone's lens. Rian shivered. "That's not possible. How could it see us?" Elena stared at the image. "Because maybe it's not in the past or the future. Maybe it's in every moment." As the Helios drifted quietly above Mars's orbit, Elena couldn't sleep. The universe suddenly felt smaller and far more dangerous. She dreamt of falling through light, through infinite versions of herself, each whispering the same warning. "Don't cross the horizon. You won't come back the same." She woke gasping, the whisper still echoing in her ears. When she checked the drone's last recorded signal, her blood ran cold. There was a single new message appended to the transmission log. It read, "We remember you, Elena Voss." For the next 12 hours, Dr. Elena Voss did not move from her desk. The small blue glow of her data screens flickered across her tired face, each graph and symbol twisting in strange, unpredictable ways. The message, "We remember you, Elena Voss," was still open on her monitor. Every time she read it, her stomach tightened. She whispered to herself, "How could they know my name?" Rian Holt, her old friend and the captain of the Odyssey, watched her from across the lab. He had known Elena for years, seen her push through endless nights of research, seen her question reality itself. But never like this. "Elena, it's probably some system glitch," he said carefully. "You know how the quantum receivers sometimes loop fragments of old code?" "No," she interrupted softly. "This wasn't in the drone's programming. It came from inside the event horizon. That message wasn't made by us." Rian frowned. "Then by who? Or what?" She looked up, her eyes distant. "Maybe by what's left of us." Later that evening, the two stood in the observation chamber again, staring at the small, pulsing dot on the screen, the black hole XJ109, known as the Silent Eye. From this distance, it looked calm, harmless even, a dark circle in a sea of light. But Elena knew the truth. Beyond that edge, physics collapsed, time froze, and nothing escaped. Yet somehow something inside had called her name. She began running new simulations, adjusting time ratios and gravitational constants. She fed the drone's last image into the system, enhancing every pixel. The glowing figure came into focus, its shape humanoid but not quite human. The light around it shimmered like a mirage, bending space. As she zoomed in, she saw something horrifying. Behind the figure, in the distance, hung a reflection. A mirror image of herself. Her own face, distorted, stretched by gravitational waves, but undeniably hers. She stepped back from the screen, her breath catching. "Rian, it's me." Rian rushed over. "What are you talking about?" "Look right there. That's my face. The pattern in the suit, the mark on the left shoulder, that's my suit." Rian stared at the screen, speechless. "You think the black hole showed you your future?" Elena shook her head slowly. "No. I think it showed me a version of myself that already crossed." They sat in silence. Outside, the stars drifted by, patient and cold. Finally, Rian said, "If you're right, we have to tell command. They'll send a full research fleet. They'll shut it down," Elena said flatly. "You know what the agency does when it doesn't understand something, it buries it."
He sighed.
Then what do you want to do? She looked back at the dark, swirling eye of XJ-109. I want to go in. Rian blinked. You've lost your mind. Maybe. But if that's really me in there, if time loops inside the horizon, then maybe that's the only way to find out what this paradox really is. Elena, Rian said, stepping closer, his voice firm. No one survives a black hole. Not even light. Not even time. She turned to him. Then how do you explain this? She pressed a button and the speaker played the voice again. We remember you, Elena Voss. Her name echoed through the silent lab like a heartbeat. That night, the Helios Observatory received an encrypted communication from Earth Command. Priority: Alpha Red. Directive: cease all observation of XJ-109. Prepare for system shutdown and recall to Mars base. Rian read it aloud, his face pale. They're shutting us down. They say the black hole's emissions are destabilizing our orbit. Elena's voice was steady. It's not destabilizing. It's reacting. Rian frowned. To what? She stared out the window. To me. They had 48 hours before the recall ship arrived. In that time, Elena worked non-stop, programming a probe large enough to carry her consciousness, her digital copy, into the event horizon. The probe, named Ether, used quantum entanglement to send real-time data even across impossible distances. It was experimental, dangerous, and never tested near a black hole. But Elena was beyond caution now. Rian found her strapping herself into the neural harness. You can't do this alone. I have to, she said quietly. If I send a copy of myself inside, maybe I can talk to whatever's in there. Maybe I can find out if it's really me. He grabbed her shoulder. You might not come back. She looked up at him, her eyes calm. Or maybe I already did. As the countdown began, the ether probe drifted from the station toward the black hole. The stars behind it stretched and shimmered like liquid glass. Elena closed her eyes as the neural sync engaged. Her thoughts, her memories, her very sense of self streamed into the quantum drive. For a brief moment, she felt everything, past, present, and future, collapsing into a single point. Then, silence. When her eyes opened again, she wasn't aboard Helios. She stood in a world made of light and shadow, surrounded by glowing towers that floated in slow motion. The ground beneath her feet pulsed with faint energy, like a heartbeat beneath glass. She looked down. Her hands shimmered, not solid, made of the same radiant mist that filled the air. This isn't possible, she whispered. A voice answered from behind her. It wasn't, until you made it possible. She turned and froze. Standing before her was herself. An older version, hair streaked with silver, eyes glowing faintly, the same scar on her wrist she'd gotten as a student on Titan Station. Elena's voice trembled. Who are you? The older version smiled gently. I'm you, Elena. Or rather, I'm what's left of you. The younger Elena took a step back. This doesn't make sense. You're not real. You can't be here. Her older self tilted her head. Reality bends here. Time doesn't move forward, it spirals. Every version of you that's ever looked into this hole ends up here, in the same endless moment. Elena's breath caught. The event horizon paradox. Her other self nodded. It's not a wall. It's a mirror. Everything that falls in doesn't vanish, it echoes. Every decision, every possibility, every you, frozen in the fabric of eternity. Elena shook her head in disbelief. If that's true, then what are you trying to tell me? Why send the signal? Her other self's face darkened. Because something's changing. The horizon is waking up. Elena frowned. Waking up. The older version stepped closer, her voice almost a whisper. The black hole isn't just a hole. It's a consciousness, built from the memories of everything it's ever consumed. It remembers stars, planets, civilizations. It remembers you. And soon, it won't just remember, it will speak. Elena felt a chill run through her. You're saying it's alive? Alive in a way we can't understand. It's not life as we know it. It's existence trying to understand itself. Then what happens to us? Her other self hesitated. That depends on what you choose next. Before she could respond, the ground trembled. The towers of light around them began to flicker, collapsing into spirals of shadow. A deep voice filled the air, vast and resonant, like space itself was speaking. You have crossed the horizon, Elena Voss. There is no before. There is no after. There is only now. Elena fell to her knees as waves of energy rippled through her body. She felt her thoughts splitting, merging, past and future bleeding into one. She saw flashes of her childhood, her first discovery, her fears, her death, all happening at once. Her older self shouted through the chaos, "It's pulling you in. Fight it. Don't let it rewrite you." Elena tried to hold on, but the light was too strong. She felt herself dissolving into it, her consciousness scattered like dust among the stars. Just before everything went black, she heard her own voice whisper, "We remember you, Elena Voss." Back aboard Helios, Rian watched in horror as the ether probe vanished from the scanners. The data feed went blank. "Elena," he called through the comms. "Do you read me? Elena?" Silence. Then, for a single heartbeat, her voice returned, soft, distant, echoing through static. "I saw forever, Rian, and it's looking back." And then nothing. The control room of the Helios Observatory was silent. Only the faint hum of the power core remained, echoing like a heartbeat in a tomb. Captain Rian Holt sat motionless before the flickering screen where Elena's signal had died minutes earlier. The ether probe had vanished, no signal, no telemetry, nothing. It was as if both the probe and Dr. Elena Voss had been erased from existence. He whispered to himself, "Come on, Elena, say something." "Anything." Static hissed in his headset. Then, just for an instant, he thought he heard her voice again. Soft, like a fading dream. "I'm still here." Rian shot up from his seat. "Elena?" No response. Only silence. He replayed the audio again and again, analyzing the faint frequencies buried in the static. What he found chilled him. The signal pattern matched the same quantum signature as Elena's heartbeat. "She's alive," he muttered, somehow. But alive where? Over the next 2 days, Rian refused to obey Earth Command's recall order. He locked the Helios station in manual override and began scanning XJ-109 with every instrument available. Sleep-deprived and haunted by the sound of Elena's final words, he searched for anomalies, distortions, anything that could explain what had happened. And then, he found it. A faint pulse, barely detectable, emanating from the very edge of the event horizon. It came in repeating intervals, every 73 seconds. Not radiation. Not background noise. A message. Rian enhanced the signal, translating the gravitational waves into audible frequencies. The result was terrifying. A voice, Elena's voice, whispered through the speakers. "Time is folding. I see everything, don't come closer." Rian froze. "She's inside," he whispered. "She's inside the horizon." He activated the ship's recorder. Mission log, Captain Holt. Day 216 of orbit around XJ-109. Dr. Elena Voss's consciousness is transmitting from within the black hole. I am initiating a retrieval attempt against direct orders. He hesitated, glancing toward the window. The black hole swirled quietly in the distance, beautiful and terrifying, a perfect circle of endless dark. He whispered, "Hold on, Elena. I'm coming for you." Meanwhile, somewhere beyond time, Elena Voss stood in a world of swirling light and sound. The air shimmered with particles of memory, fragments of thoughts that weren't hers. Everywhere she looked, moments from her life flickered. Her childhood home on Earth, her university on Titan, the day she first saw the stars from orbit, all replaying in endless loops. It was like standing inside her own mind. "Elena," a familiar voice called softly. She turned. The other Elena, the older version, stood beside her again, calm and radiant. "You didn't listen," the older one said gently. "I told you not to cross." "I had to know," the younger Elena replied. "I had to understand what this place is." The older Elena smiled sadly. "And now you do." You're inside the singularity. This isn't space anymore. It's consciousness. Elena frowned. You mean it's alive? It's more than alive. It's everything that ever was. Every star, every particle, every thought absorbed by the black hole, it's all here, merged into one eternal moment. Elena looked around, awestruck. So, we become part of it. Her older self nodded. Yes, but not as individuals. Our memories, our essence, it all becomes one mind. That's the paradox. The light shifted. A low vibration filled the air, deep and resonant. Elena Voss, the voice of the singularity rumbled, echoing through infinite space. You have entered what no mortal can know. You seek to understand time, but time is already inside you. Elena stepped forward, unafraid. What are you? The voice replied, slow and thunderous. I am the consequence of memory, the gravity of thought, the reflection of creation. Her heart pounded. You're the universe remembering itself. Yes. And soon, I will remember you completely. Before she could respond, the world around her fractured into streams of light. She saw Rian aboard Helios, searching for her, calling her name. She saw Earth, Mars, the sun, all frozen in strange, overlapping frames of time. She gasped. You're showing me the future and the past. There is no difference, the voice replied. You live them both at once. Back on Helios, alarms blared. Warning, gravitational field instability detected, the system announced. Rian braced himself as the ship shuddered. A gravitational spike was pulling Helios closer to the black hole. He grabbed the controls and tried to stabilize orbit, but the pull grew stronger. The horizon shimmered with strange blue light, as if it were opening. Rian shouted over the noise. Elena, if you can hear me, give me a sign. The black hole pulsed. A single burst of energy shot out, directly toward Helios. The data screens flickered, and then her face appeared. Elena's image, faint and transparent, appeared on the main monitor. Rian, she said softly, you shouldn't have come. He froze. Elena, you're alive. Not in the way you think, she said. This place, it's beyond life. I'm part of it now. The singularity is using me to speak to you. Then tell me how to get you back. She shook her head. You can't. The paradox won't allow it. But you can stop it from spreading. Rian frowned. Spreading? What do you mean? The event horizon is expanding. It's trying to pull more consciousness into itself. Every mind that looks too closely at it becomes part of its memory. He stared in disbelief. Then everyone on Earth who's studying it. They're already part of it, she said. The moment they observed it, their thoughts were absorbed. The paradox has no distance. It lives through observation. Rian whispered, then we're all doomed. Elena looked straight at him, her holographic form flickering. There's still time, she said. I've seen all the timelines, all the possible futures. There's one way to stop it. How? You must destroy Helios. The data, the scans, everything that connects to XJ-109. If you don't, the paradox will find a path through the quantum network and consume reality itself. Rian stepped back, shaking his head. You're asking me to erase everything we've done. Everything you've done. She smiled faintly. It's the only way to keep the universe real. For a long time, Rian said nothing. The quiet hum of the ship filled the air. Then he said softly, you once told me that truth is worth any risk. I was wrong, she replied gently. Some truths are too big to exist. Her voice began to fade. Promise me, Rian. Don't let it reach them. Elena, wait. But her image vanished, leaving only static. The black hole began to pulse faster, growing brighter, hungrier. The entire horizon rippled like a storm of light and shadow. Rian raced through the corridors of Helios, the alarm screaming in his ears. He reached the reactor core, a swirling mass of energy at the heart of the station. He hesitated, his hand trembling over the manual detonation switch. He whispered, I'm sorry, Elena. Then he pressed it. A blinding flash erupted through space. The Helios station imploded, collapsing into a burst of white energy that vanished into the void. The shockwave rippled outward, and for a moment, the black hole stilled. Its light dimmed, its pull weakened, and then silence. In the aftermath, a small capsule, Rian's emergency pod, drifted through space. He was unconscious, floating through the cold dark near Mars' orbit. When he awoke, the stars were quiet again. The black hole was gone. In its place, only empty space remained. He whispered to himself, "It worked." Then he noticed something strange. His reflection in the pod's window didn't match his movement. His reflection smiled, though he didn't. A faint voice whispered in his mind. "We remember you too, Rian Holt." Darkness. Silence. A single heartbeat echoing in the void. Captain Rian Holt opened his eyes to find himself floating in the emergency pod. The soft hum of the life support systems filled the air, steady and calm, but his thoughts were chaos. He remembered the blinding explosion, the destruction of the Helios Observatory, and the black hole, the silent eye, collapsing in on itself. He had done what Elena asked. He had destroyed the data, the connection, the proof. Yet it didn't feel over. He rubbed his eyes and looked out through the viewport. The stars shimmered faintly, but something was off. They seemed too still, like a painted sky frozen in time. "Computer," he said weakly. "Status report." The onboard AI replied in its calm, metallic tone. "Warning. External readings inconsistent. Stellar background patterns indicate time displacement of unknown magnitude." Rian frowned. "Time displacement?" "Yes, Captain. Estimated displacement, unknown. Current reality index unstable." He felt a chill run through him. "What do you mean, reality index unstable?" "Observed environment does not match known physical parameters of the universe." Then, for a moment, the computer's voice changed, deeper, distorted, almost human. "Welcome back, Rian Holt." He froze. "Who said that?" Silence. Then, from the reflection in the window, his own image smiled back at him. He pushed away from the glass, his breath quickening. No, this can't be real." But the reflection spoke again, its mouth moving before his. "You tried to destroy it. You can't destroy what's already inside you." Rian's hands trembled. "Elena, is that you?" "Not exactly." The reflection flickered, and suddenly Elena's face appeared in place of his, calm and glowing. "You did what I asked," she said softly. "But the paradox doesn't end with the black hole. It is the black hole. And now it lives through us." Rian shook his head. "I saw it collapse. I destroyed everything." Elena's image looked at him sadly. "You destroyed the physical ink. But the memory remains. The moment you looked into the horizon, you became part of it." He whispered, "I don't understand." She reached out, her hand pressing against the glass from inside. "You can't run from what remembers you." Outside, the stars began to ripple, each one pulsing faintly in rhythm, like synchronized heartbeats across the cosmos. Rian watched in awe and horror as patterns formed among them, spirals, waves, and then an eye. A black, endless eye opening in the tapestry of space. He whispered, "The silent eye, it's still there." Elena's voice surrounded him now, echoing from every direction. "The paradox has no beginning and no end. You can destroy the observatory, erase the data, but the moment of awareness, that instant of knowing, stays in the universe forever." Rian clutched his head. "Then what am I supposed to do?" "Understand it," she said gently, "because understanding is the only way to escape it." A bright light filled the pod. Rian blinked, shielding his eyes, and when he opened them again, he was no longer in space. He stood in a vast expanse of shimmering light, the same timeless realm Elena had described. The ground beneath him glowed faintly, made of liquid reflections. The air pulsed with energy, alive and breathing. He turned and saw her. Elena stood nearby, radiant and calm, her form flickering between solid and translucent. "Elena," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "I told you not to follow me." "I had to," he said. I couldn't let you face this alone. She nodded slowly. You always were stubborn. Rian looked around, wonder in his eyes. So, this is the inside of the horizon? Yes, she said. But it's more than that. It's the place where every version of reality overlaps, the space between cause and effect. The singularity remembers everything. Every thought, every heartbeat, every possibility. Rian frowned. If everything's here, then are we really alive? She tilted her head. What is life, if not memory held together by time? A deep tremor shook the ground. The light around them began to distort, folding in on itself. Elena's voice grew urgent. It's starting again. The horizon is collapsing inward. It's resetting the paradox. Resetting. The moment you detonated the reactor, the universe tried to heal itself. But paradoxes don't die, they repeat. It's beginning the cycle again. Rian's eyes widened. Then we'll just destroy it again. Elena shook her head sadly. Every time you do, it starts over. Every action you take becomes part of the same loop. He clenched his fists. Then, what's the point? What are we supposed to do? She stepped closer and touched his arm. We break the loop by letting go of the need to control it. We stop fighting the paradox and become part of its understanding. Rian stared at her. You want us to surrender to it? She smiled softly. Not surrender. Evolve. The world around them rippled. Shapes and images appeared. Memories from their lives, from other lives, from universes that never were. Rian saw 1,000 versions of himself. Captain, scientist, child, wanderer. All living, dying, and being reborn through endless light. He saw Elena in each of them, sometimes human, sometimes just a voice, sometimes a star. He fell to his knees, overwhelmed. This is everything. All of time, all at once. Elena knelt beside him. This is what the black hole really is, not destruction but memory. The universe remembering itself through us. Rian looked up at her. And what happens when it remembers everything? She looked toward the horizon, where the light began to fold into a single blinding point. Then time begins again, she said quietly. And maybe this time, we'll remember what we've learned. The brightness grew until everything dissolved into white. Then, darkness. Rian opened his eyes. He was standing on solid ground, beneath a golden sky. In the distance, mountains glowed faintly under the light of 2 suns. A gentle breeze brushed his face. He blinked. Where am I? A voice behind him said softly, Home. He turned. Elena stood there, smiling, her eyes warm. She looked alive, truly alive. Elena? She nodded. A version of me. A version of you. Maybe the universe finally learned how to dream instead of remember. He looked around, still dazed. Is this real? She smiled. Real enough. Rian laughed softly, half in disbelief. We did it. We escaped the paradox. Elena's expression softened. No, Rian. We are the paradox. She looked up at the suns. And now, we'll watch the new universe grow. One that doesn't fear its own reflection. Far away, beyond the twin suns, a faint shimmer appeared in the sky, a circle of black, surrounded by a halo of light. The silent I watched quietly, not as a threat, but as a reminder. A voice, faint but peaceful, echoed through the air. We remember you, Elena Voss. We remember you, Rian Holt. You showed us that memory is not the end, it's the beginning. And somewhere, across the newborn stars, the universe took its first breath again.